RevOpsAF, the only podcast for people who are RevOpsAF and want to learn all about things that are RevOps AF.
Our goal is to give the revenue operations community, that includes marketing, sales, and CS, for any of you not paying attention, the skills needed to accelerate their careers.
Hello and welcome to RevOpsAF, the podcast. I'm your host, Camela Thompson, and today I am joined by Nicole Looker. Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I am the director of RevOps at Rebuy Engine. We are a e-commerce SaaS company that specializes in personalization for shopping and online merchants. At Rebuy, it's myself. I'm actually just got a new hire this week, which is very exciting because the to-do list in RevOps never ends. But we're responsible for all things related to the go-to-market teams as far as tooling, strategy, reporting data, and all the things. Definitely a lot going into it. And I do report into the COO, and my stakeholders are all of the VPs at Rebuy. So it's a lot of multitasking and juggling day in and day out.
Speaking of which, we're going to talk about prioritization today. And with all of those dotted lines, you probably have a really good idea about why prioritizing in RevOps is so hard. Let's talk about that a little bit. Why is it so difficult?
Yeah, it's very much like, and I describe it as everything is a priority. So what is a priority, right? Like there's a lot of important initiatives going on this year. We're in January now. So all the metrics are being defined for where the teams need to be by the end of the year. So it's a lot of foundation building to make sure that we're going to reach those metrics. But then the problems come in where we support not only our team and our internal processes, but we have to take into consideration the sales team and their metrics, the partnerships team and their metrics, the success team, the support team, the marketing team, and all their metrics. And then we act as the dotted line to the technical side of the house too. So what can we do to help them reach theirs? So we have to work on determining the best way to go about doing all of that, to making sure that what we're working on is actually going to move the needle rather than us just like churning along in the mud.
I often joke that the key to survival without burnout in RevOps is knowing really well how to prioritize. Do you find that to be the case?
Absolutely. And I've been asked by many people, how in the world do you prioritize? Is there a recipe for success with prioritization? And the answer is, there's a recipe, but it's like a dash of this and a dash of that, and it may not be like measured. It's like when you ask your mom to write down, hey, what's your mac and cheese? Like, how do you do it? Oh, I take a handful of salt and a handful of pepper, and I mix it up and taste it to make sure it's like good. And that's kind of what we have to do, is make sure that we're doing that in the best way. And to me, stakeholder satisfaction is the ultimate like measure of the success in RevOps. Like we don't have like super clear metrics. We don't have like, oh, we need to get to 100 tickets this quarter. Is it anything else? It's making sure that our stakeholders, when we talk to them and they talk to people about us, it's a positive sentiment and everybody's happy with what we're working on.
That being said, with everyone having different goals, different ideas of what they need to be successful, it's really hard to make everybody happy. So for me, this was about figuring out what the overarching company goal was and then convincing leaders that whatever they were advocating for was either in alignment or out of alignment with that. How do you go about, is there a cadence you stick to throughout the year? And how do you communicate with those stakeholders to keep them happy-ish?
Totally. So from a top-down approach, we do go through a quarterly planning session and then like a H1, H2 type planning too, with anything that may not make it into that quarter. And going about that process is mission critical for setting the expectations across the team, setting the expectations for my team about what's reasonable and what's not. And then, of course, fitting in all the day-to-day fires that just randomly pop up. And how I like to go about managing that is I do have regular meetings with my key stakeholders, like one-on-ones. And that's so important because you're giving them an open forum to be honest, then to maybe express their feelings about what's happening, whether it's with their team, whether it's with the company. You're able to be empathetic and truly listen to them without anybody else having input into the discussion. And usually during those types of conversations, we'll go about, well, what's your wish list? If we have from Jan till March, what do you hope that we can get done to help you reach your goals? Let's jot it down, talk through why, how is it going to align with the business goals? And I go through that exercise with each of the key people that I support. After we go through that, I'll go through an internal exercise then. Okay, is it more important to build out sales territories to reach our new business goal? Or is it more important to build this automation that may save the success team 5 minutes? Like, where is it going to balance? What do I think is going to move the needle more to get towards our business goals? So I go through that process. That's definitely a lot of knowledge that you have to have about the business and really be in tune with those types of things too. After that, I'll put it all nice in a presentation for everybody, and I'll sit with my leader then and make sure that that's in line with his expectations. Does he think the territories are going to get us to the number, or are the other things going to? So we'll get in alignment there. And the alignment from your leader is also very important here because they'll have your back in all the other discussions too. Go through that exercise, and then we meet with everybody in an open forum. And at this point, also like such a mission critical piece, because oftentimes they forget that you're not just supporting them. So it's like a chance for them to see, oh, okay, success has these 10 things, partnerships has these 10 things. Like, I understand now it's not just me. So let's compromise and talk about it. And that type of exercise, I think, has really set alignment for everybody. I really haven't gotten much pushback by going through that exercise because we are open, honest, transparent, and collaborative across all the teams.
Great. So I'm assuming, though, things change.
Absolutely.
So do you find yourself revisiting things fairly frequently?
Yes, it's also a very iterative process too, especially like I work in the startup space. So we are lean, mean, and scrappy, which means what was a priority 3 weeks ago may not be right now. And that definitely means like juggling, moving things around. But again, like open channels of communication are the key to success in that piece. They see everything that I have on my board, which we can talk about the like tooling that I use to kind of organize all of this. But they see the things coming in on the board. They have access to the project backlog and our board at any given moment in time. And then I continue to regularly communicate with everybody, both one-on-one and in a group setting, as we have to shuffle.
So yeah, let's jump into tooling, because you mentioned the presentation, but I imagine you need something a little bit more fluid.
Yes. So I use Jira for my ticketing system, and I allow all of my stakeholders and their teams to submit things through this. It's outside of Salesforce, which I know a lot of RevOps team like choose to use cases. I like it being outside of Salesforce though, because we often interact with people who may not necessarily be in Salesforce. They may not have access. Maybe they only pop in it once in a blue moon. We also work with the reporting and data team on our product and engineering side, and they're not in Salesforce. So having just a spot where anybody in the company can see what we're doing and what's going on at any given time has also opened this line of communication and transparency and trust. So that's like one area. Number 2, I like Notion. So Notion, we store like all of our larger projects. Also, like all of our documentation, also a firm believer in documentation and having it very thoroughly done. That also, again, helps with, okay, we know what's like coming. Here's how to do it. Nicole and her team are going to make sure that it's there for us. We like trust her. Let's go. And then number 3 is, of course, Slack. So we have Slack channels for our tickets. We have Slack channels for our larger projects when we're implementing. We also have a notification channel for RevOps that we post anything big in. And people can ask me like questions publicly there too. And all of that just goes back to the trust, transparency, and collaboration, which I think are the big pillars of being a successful RevOps professional.
So what aspects of a task or project are you keeping track of? And just the name of it.
Yes. So we keep track of all the details that go into it. So what are the original requests that people are asking for? I like to know why too. So I always try to dig into why is this important? What are we doing here? What are we trying to accomplish? And what is the end goal that we're ultimately trying to see with whatever we're building or implementing? I also like to use our tickets as like a collaboration spot too. So do you have any supporting documents? Have you seen another place do it? What was good? What was bad? Did you have any ideas for it? And then just using that to track the progress then throughout. I like to make sure that people know too, are we blocked on anything? Why and what is it? Do we need support from engineering or maybe the tooling partner? Is it stuck with them? So I do put different statuses at any given time for where these tasks are so that they can see at any given time, are we on track or are we locked too?
Are you a fan of keeping an estimate of how much effort's going to go into something or how long something's estimated to take?
That's a good question. Sometimes I feel like we think we know and it never goes that way. For example, we're implementing SPIF right now for commission management. I'm like, all right, I was told by the SPIF team like 4 to 6 weeks. Okay. But is it really going to take 4 to 6 weeks? Probably not.
No, so it's going to be at least 8.
Yeah. So we probably need to add a buffer in. So when I'm communicating those types of things to my team, I'll definitely mention, here's the estimate that I have, but given everything else that could happen and we need to properly test, it's probably closer to X that this is going to go across. And are you okay with that? And asking that too, I think makes them feel empowered that you're listening to their feelings and what they have to say.
Another huge positive of estimating the time, and you don't have to be 100% right, but if somebody's trying to push something to the top of the priority list, it's easy to be able to show them, here are the 5 things I'm working on now, here's how long they're going to take. Which thing do you want to kick to the bottom?
100%. And I definitely had to do that plenty of times.
It can also be a great way to build a business case for another headcount.
Yes. And I will say, going through that planning process, we went through it in December for this quarter. And when I showed my leader, he was like, that's a lot. And I was like, this is the North Star for sure. If we can reach this goal by the end of March, that would be fantastic. But I need some help.
Yeah.
So he recognized that, and then hence the new hire coming on board this week.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Yeah, super pumped.
Yeah, I found it to be much, much harder if you don't have some kind of structured project system in place. Grow all visual to some degree or another, and being able to see that big list of stuff, and us being empowered in RevOps to say, yeah, but we only have so many hours in the day, and this is what we can realistically get to, can be really helpful.
Oh, absolutely. From a visualization standpoint, for people who may not understand what RevOps is or the impact that RevOps truly has, once you start putting all that there, it's like, oh my gosh, you guys touch so many pieces of the business. We're not just tooling, we're not just processes, we're not just strategy. We do all the things and then some. So to have it all laid out like that is like a big eye-opener.
I really recommend that people pull a report every once in a while, look back and see what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of any period, you're going to completely forget what any of those things were. Yeah. And they're so fantastic on your resume. Mm-hmm. So many of us have forgotten the vast majority of things we've done in our career. It's really helpful.
Oh, yeah. I was just telling my new hire that I was training her on our Jira board today, and I was like, make sure you tag everything and have it organized, because I like to pull a report for our town halls and be like, here's the big things that we got across the line, but we also did 400 tickets this quarter. And it's nice to show that, especially throughout the year, to remind everybody of the impact that we're truly having.
Yeah, you don't want to, that's what's called the gal who doesn't smile much, but I don't know what she does. You don't want to be known. You could be known for not smiling if you're working a lot. That's fine.
Yeah.
But maybe having people know what you're doing all the time is probably a good strategy.
Absolutely. Really important.
So can you give us some examples of how you communicate? You mentioned a town hall. What kind of things do you like to bring up other than just task completion?
Yeah. So we talk about task completion as mentioned. I like to talk about the big projects and what kind of impact they're going to have on the business. For example, we implemented Data Cloud last year, which I think is very interesting in the startup space because I don't think a lot of small businesses are choosing to pursue that tool. So when we would present on that, it was sharing, what is this going to change for us? How is it going to help you? What information do you have access to now that you didn't before? What kind of insights can we see? How can you better communicate with your customers now and make better decisions for them? And that type of stuff, like I'll share during town halls, but it's also like during the implementation. It's also after the fact, having the support documentation for everybody on that so that they feel powered and able to use whatever that we're building.
So when it comes to task management specifically in ticketing and that sort of thing, is that something you had to convince people to do either at this organization or another one?
Yes. So when I joined, there was nothing in place. Our VP of sales implemented our Salesforce org. And I think he did a fantastic job with the knowledge that he has. He always apologizes like, oh, I'm sorry, I built it this way. I'm like, no, I think with your knowledge, you did great. This is fantastic. But obviously there was some efficiencies that we had to work through, especially as we grow. At that time, it was kind of like a free-for-all with RevOps stuff. People were just doing what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it. Which, as all of us on the RevOps side know, that's not... It's like I see your face and my face is like, nah, it's not really the best way to go about it.
It's hard to sell them off of it, though, because they view it as being efficient because they're not waiting for something to be done, even if it's not the right thing to do.
Yes, I did see that, and I saw like a little bit of resistance at first. There was like a Google Doc that had all the things that they hope to get done and things that have come up. But obviously, they're managing other teams too, so it's like, will it get done? I don't know, maybe. When I came on, I recognized this right away. I told my boss at the time, like, hey, we need to build a foundation out. We can't have people just pinging in Slack that they need stuff or going in and doing it on their own, downstream implications, competing things, duplication of effort. So that I did introduce and build out the entire ticketing system with Jira. I built out documentation and forms and automations that they could do to submit tickets. I think the team was very happy to have someone in place to get things done, though. I would say 95% of my people that I work with submit tickets. They don't come to me in Slack. They go right to the ticket first, and then they'll say, hey, I submitted this ticket, which I think that's fantastic, and I think it's amazing that they do that.
Yeah. And I've often noticed that the most vocal detractors become the most vocal fans after a while too, if they can see, oh, this actually means things are getting done a lot quicker than I thought they would.
Yeah. And I think too, it goes back to the visibility. Like when you're pinging someone directly on Slack, you don't see everything else that everybody else is pinging them on Slack too. So they submit a ticket, but they can see my Slack channels crazy with tickets for the whole entire day. So they understand they're not the only one in the queue.
Yeah, and when you're moving from an organization with wide open admin privileges, they quote unquote know that a pick list change will take 5 minutes, not taking into account that it's going to impact the systems that are integrated and blow those up potentially. It can be really frustrating if they have to wait for something. So having that visibility, like you said, is absolutely key.
Yeah, big time. And I don't think we've gotten much pushback on it at all. Everybody knows, submit the ticket. It'll be prioritized and communicated accordingly.
Is there any other advice you'd like to give somebody who's thinking about establishing more process in their prioritization journey?
Yeah. So we know what the best practices are in the RevOps space, and we should be the trusted advisor in our roles. A lot of us have that imposter syndrome feeling where we're like, oh, we want to please everybody and make them happy. And maybe this isn't the best, but I think it's like you do know, and stick to your gut and the experiences that you have. And the teams trust you to know. Keeping it in the back of your head is like, as you work through your day-to-day and building these processes out, is like such a key for the relationship and trust that you'll build with the teams in the long term. Very important to keep in mind.
Relationships are everything in the long term, especially for career development.
Absolutely. I've been harping all week with my new hire too, like the relationships that we have with our stakeholders are number one. That's the crux of it all.
True. Nicole, thank you so much for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about where to network with you and what your session's going to be about at RevOpsAF in New Orleans?
Yeah. So yes, I will be on LinkedIn. Feel free to add me. Love connecting with everybody. My sister and I just became the co-heads for the Denver chapter of RevOps Co-op. So we'll be kicking that off and getting all the things ready for it. You can also find us at RevOpsAF in May. I will be doing a session that's similar to this about prioritizing and how to prioritize when everything is a priority. I'll have a lot of great tips, tricks, and resources to share with everybody.
Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode, everybody.
For more great content like this, join our community at RevOpsCoop.com and check out the links provided in the show notes.
Keep it RevOps safe, y'all.